How to always make the right decision. That is an interesting question. I think that in in our society, we have become obsessed with being right. When I go into different organizations and I see the environment, I see management teams in fear because if they don't go to the meeting and be right about every single answer, even down to the minutia level, the anxiety gets so high. It creates insecurity in those managers and they begin to be afraid to take risks. There's this obsession with making the right decision. But we forget that some of the biggest advancements in our culture, in our human society, has been built on mistake upon mistake upon mistake. But I believe that making the right decision is conjuring up the confidence to take the risk to act or not act, and to then learn from the result that comes from the action or the inaction. That's how you know that you've made the right decision. That's part of it, because there's the confidence piece, which is an emotional piece, and then there's the knowing piece. However, in many instances, we divorce the emotional and the intellectual piece, and some people operate solely on emotion, and some people operate solely on logic, and in some cases, there are those who have a great balance between the two. But once you've had that balance, it's what did I learn from this situation that got me closer to where I want to be? Whether or not we're talking about an individual or an organization, we are all on a journey that ebbs and flows. And so, how do you make the right decision? How do I know that I'm making the right decision? I remember when I was talking to a classmate of mine in high school, and I will remember this forever. She told me, Donnie, you are pretty much doing well in many areas of your life. You have a car. Not many people I know have a car. You have a job at a pretty good place as an intern. I don't know many people our age that are doing those kinds of things. You are well liked among your peers. You have all of these different things going on. You have a great family. However, your relationship area sucks. And I laughed, and she told me, she said, don't worry about it, because you can't be, you can't beat yourself up and think that you're always going to be good in every area of your life all of the time. Sometimes you make mistakes. Sometimes things go wrong, but never regret anything that you did if at the time you were doing it, it felt like you were doing the right thing. And so that stuck with me. And as I have matured and as I'm maturing, I'm allowing my emotions to be a part of the conversation when I make decisions that appear to be purely logical. The decisions that we make are just as much emotional as they are logical. And so, what do we need in order to build confidence? What is it that we need? Everybody's different. There are some people who need to know certain things in order to build confidence. There are some people who need to see certain things in order to build confidence. But whatever that looks like, I first ask, in this situation, what is it that I need to feel or to see in order to take action or inaction? And if it doesn't go the way that I want it to go, what am I learning from it? That is how we develop our resilience. And that is a way that we continue to develop a growth mindset. When you understand that not every decision you make will go the way that you want it to go, a perspective that I would offer is for you to think about what you learned from that situation. Because if you learned something from that situation, then I would argue that you still made the right decision, especially if you have gotten the information emotionally and mentally that you need in order to take that action. And so this obsession that we have inundated ourselves with personally and professionally to know every single thing and to be right, I believe we have to change our perspective. But first, again, it starts with environment. Are we in an environment that is conducive for us to make mistakes? When we are in our professional lives, in some instances, people have a lot less control over this because not every organization has leadership that fosters an environment that allows people to have a certain degree of mistakes. Some managers that I've met with have been humiliated in front of their peers because they didn't know the answer. But in an environment where we have to know more and more and more and more and more, how do we create an environment where there is a certain degree of mistakes that are okay? In our personal lives, we have a little bit more flexibility over this. We have the most flexibility over this because we're just looking at ourselves. We're just looking at ourselves and whether or not we are comfortable enough to say it's okay for me to make a mistake. It doesn't mean that I am of less value. It just means that I am now learning from this experience. And so we have to be able to have hypotheses in order to test things out, whether it's in our personal or professional lives. It's one big experiment. And so when we shift our thinking, for example, in our personal lives, when we shift our thinking from saying, I invested my money in this stock, it didn't work. All stocks are bad. I'm never doing it again. I experimented with this investment type. What did I learn from it? Now, after you've learned the lesson, the next step is not to repeat the lesson. That's how you know that you're getting closer to making better decisions. But when you make or do not make or take actions that have already proven to be unsuccessful, and then you hope for a different result, those are the things that I would say fall into the realm of poor decisions, wrong decisions. And in some instances, those are the ones that will keep recurring until you learn the lesson and you change. And this doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's in your personal or professional life. So how to always make the right decision? It's the decisions that you learn from. Those are the right decisions. Those are the decisions that help you grow. But we first have to get comfortable within ourselves and allow ourselves grace to make mistakes along the way as we're building these massive dreams that we all have, whether it be personal or professional. And so don't get caught up on always making the right decisions. Make hypotheses. Look at the situation and make an educated guess. Make a hypotheses that you can live with. And look at it as an experiment that you're testing. I'm testing to see that if I take action A, result B will happen. Now, after you've tested it and you see that result B has happened, then okay, great. But if you find that result B did not happen and perhaps result C happened? What did I learn from result C that I can use to get me towards B? Or to get me to a better result beyond B? So, in landing this plane and in landing this concept, learn to do two things in order to guide your decision making. Number one, conjure up a certain level of confidence to the point where you are comfortable taking or not taking action, and develop your list of what you need to know in order to feel confident. Say those two things. Peace.